My girlfriend of 3 years, Sarah, was suddenly discovered by her wealthy family and became the rich, sought-after heiress on campus, while I was reduced overnight to a pathetic loser everyone mocked. Later, just as everyone had rumored, I really did ask Sarah for money. Her eyes filled with disappointment, as if she were looking at a stray dog. "Alex," she said, "I thought you were different, but I guess you're just like all the others." With that, she angrily threw a bank card at me. The athletic field was full of people waiting to see me humiliated, but I acted as if I didn't hear them, bending down to pick up the card. After all, I had leukemia. This was money to keep me alive. When I got to the classroom, someone was already sitting next to Sarah. It was a tall, well-built guy, and they were huddled close together going over some questions. "Sarah," I said, putting my textbook down at the desk behind her and clearing my throat. Hearing my voice, Sarah looked up at me, then turned to the guy beside her with an apologetic smile. "My boyfriend's here, so let's call it a day. We can pick this up next time." The guy didn't linger, quickly gathering his notes from the desk and leaving, but as he reached the doorway, he shot a meaningful glance back at me. I frowned, a sour feeling in my stomach. Ever since Sarah was welcomed into the Hamilton family, guys had started flocking to her. Even the ones who used to ignore her or actively avoid her were now constantly trying to get close. Sarah was too kind to be suspicious and never turned away anyone's friendly advances, but I knew exactly what those guys were thinking. "Who was that?" I asked as Sarah gathered her books from her desk. "He's a senior in my department who just got accepted into the graduate program. He saw I was interested in applying too, so he offered to help me study." Sarah moved to the seat next to me, her eyes crinkling as she smiled. "What's wrong? Are you jealous?" I played along and nodded. "Yeah, I am. So can my dear girlfriend please stop hanging out with him?" "Relax, we're just classmates. Nothing inappropriate is going to happen." I suddenly grabbed her hand, my gaze serious. Sarah froze for a second. I sighed, unable to bring myself to be harsh. "What I mean is, he's not a good guy. It's better if we just stay away from him." She slapped away the hand I was about to use to ruffle her hair. "Alex, can you stop thinking the worst of everyone? Do you think everyone is as calculating as you are?" Her words made my brain short-circuit for a moment. Calculating. I almost wanted to laugh. So this was the kind of person I had always been in Sarah's eyes. Then again, if I wasn't so calculating, how could I have protected her so well? Back in freshman year, when Sarah and I first got together, there were always nasty rumors flying around. I was afraid they would get to her, so I bit the bullet, used 6 months of my part-time job savings to rent a studio apartment near campus, and then lied to her that my roommate was pushing me out, hoping she'd move in with me. The day I moved out, I even got into a fight with my roommate, Leo, because he ran his mouth about Sarah while trying to talk me out of it. We fought until we were both breathless. Leaning against a desk, I heard him panting as he asked, "Alex, do you really think she's worth it?" Back then, I would have answered without a shred of doubt, "Of course she is," but now I wasn't so sure. Sarah must have been genuinely angry because she ignored all my attempts to apologize. It wasn't until class was about to end that her expression softened a little. I seized the chance. "Are you coming home tonight? I remember you said you were craving that beef noodle soup last week. I'm free this weekend. I can take you. My parents have my whole weekend planned out." "I'm not like you," she started, then abruptly stopped. But I knew what she was going to say. She had a loving mother and father now, not like me, an orphan with no one. I dropped my gaze, my fists clenching without me realizing it. Sarah realized her mistake, and her tone softened. "Alex, you know I just got back to my family. There's so much I still need to get used to. I'm not avoiding coming home just to make you mad." Looking at her small, anxious face, my clenched fists finally relaxed. I forced a casual smile. The bell rang. "I have to go, Alex," Sarah said, her bag already packed. "I'll walk you," I offered, grabbing my book and getting up. "No, it's okay. Mr. Phillips is already here waiting downstairs." I glanced out the window, and sure enough, a black Maybach was parked below. When I looked back, Sarah was already out of the building. I watched her get into the car and drive away, a wave of bitterness washing over me. With Sarah gone for the weekend, I asked my boss for extra shifts. My last delivery of the day was to a high-end mall in Boston filled with luxury boutiques. Just as I handed the package to the customer and was about to leave, I spotted a familiar figure in a corner of the mall. It was Sarah. She was looking at a wall of designer handbags, and the senior who'd been tutoring her, Mark, had his arm wrapped intimately around her shoulder. They were laughing together, looking for all the world like a couple in love. This was the girlfriend who just yesterday told me she had family obligations, and here she was messing around with another guy at the mall. I gripped the straps of my worn-out backpack, wanting to go over and confront them, but my feet felt like they were filled with lead, pinning me to the spot. The man was dressed impeccably in a suit, a perfect match for Sarah, the new heiress. I looked down at my own faded, washed-out clothes and my calloused hands, young but already rough. Maybe we had been strangers from the moment her family found her. I closed my eyes, trying to suppress the storm of emotions I couldn't unleash. Suddenly, I felt a warm trickle from my nose. It dripped down my chin and onto my t-shirt like a blooming red flower, staining my vision crimson. "Mommy, why does that man have blood all over his face?" "It's scary." A mother and her son walked past. The little boy hid behind her, peeking out to stare at me. The mother shot me a look of disgust and pulled her son further away, as if I were contagious. I fumbled for a tissue, but the blood just kept coming, impossible to clean up. I could only manage a weak, apologetic smile at the boy before I fled the mall. I woke up in a hospital bed. The nurse making her rounds told me a security guard had found me passed out at the mall entrance and called 911. The smell of antiseptic stung my nostrils. Feeling the irritation, I struggled to sit up, but the movement triggered another gush of blood that soaked the sheets. The young nurse was terrified and rushed to get the attending physician. After a thorough examination, the doctor looked at me with a grave expression, sighing repeatedly. Seeing his hesitation, I asked, "What is it? Just tell me. I can handle it." The doctor handed me the report. Even though I had braced myself, the black and white words still hit me like a punch to the gut. Acute leukemia. Am I going to die? With aggressive treatment, we could extend your life by 1 to 3 years. You should notify your family. The cost of treatment is significant. I don't have any family, I said, my head bowed, my expression unreadable. My parents died in a car crash the day I got my university acceptance letter. It was supposed to be a day of celebration. I had the letter from my dream school in my hand, just waiting for my parents to get home so I could share the news. I waited late into the night, eventually falling asleep on the couch, but they never came home. In the early hours of the morning, I got a call from the police. They said my parents had been in an accident near the highway overpass and had been rushed to the hospital. For a moment, I thought it was a prank call, but a terrible feeling in my gut sent me sprinting all the way to the hospital. By the time I got there, my dad was already gone. My mom was in the ICU. I spent the entire night crouched outside the door, praying to a God I didn't believe in, but she passed away the next morning, leaving me to sob alone on the hospital steps. Hearing my words, the doctor's breath caught. A look of sorrow filled his eyes as he patted my shoulder. "Please think about it. You're so young." I stumbled back to my apartment in a daze and lay on the bed, staring at the yellowing ceiling. I tried to calculate the cost of treatment, hundreds of thousands of dollars. On my salary of a few thousand a month, that would take years of saving every single penny. I covered my face and started to laugh, but I don't know why the laughter turned into sobs, tears streaming down my face, my nose betraying me with another warm trickle of blood that mixed with the tears into a wretched mess. Ever since my parents died, my nightmares have been filled with a heart-tearing pain. It was a pain that led me to Sarah because I had saved her when she was trying to end her own life. It was during winter break of my freshman year. I was heading home after my last delivery when I passed an overpass and saw a girl standing on the other side of the railing, staring down at the churning river below, ready to jump. There was no time to think. I just rushed forward and grabbed her arm. "What are you doing? Let me go," she screamed, struggling to break free. I held on tighter. "Just calm down. Whatever it is, it can't be more important than your life." "What do you know?" she sobbed, breaking down completely. "People like you could never understand. You just say all the right, empty words to make yourselves feel better." She struggled and cried for a long time until she was too exhausted to do either. Only then did she tell me why she wanted to die. It was supposed to be her payday, but she'd been mugged on her way home from work. They took her phone, her wallet, every last cent she had. The area had no cameras, so the police couldn't do anything. She was an orphan. That money was all she had to live on for the next month. While she was too weak to resist, I quickly pulled her back over the railing. She collapsed onto the pavement, her eyes swollen and her voice raw from crying. "Why did you save me?" she murmured, looking up at me. "Wouldn't it have been better to just let me die?" Looking at her frail frame and trembling shoulders, I suddenly felt like I was looking at myself. "We're the same," I said. She looked at me as if I'd told a terrible joke. "How could you possibly be like me? I'm an orphan too," I cut in. "So I get it." She stared at me for a moment. Then her expression turned to scorn. "What good is understanding? If we're the same, then you of all people should know how hopeless this is. Let me help you." I blurted out, the words leaving my mouth before I could think. She just stared, completely stunned. I scratched my head, trying to explain. I have some savings. I can cover what you lost, but in return, you have to promise me you'll keep living. Can you do that?" It was a dusk painted with brilliant colors. I met a girl who understood my pain. She stood there against the setting sun and told me her name was Sarah. I slept for a full day and a night, not waking until Sunday afternoon. When I did, every bone in my body ached as if it were broken, and a large dried blood stain covered the sheet. I fumbled for my phone. There were no new messages from Sarah, but there were several concerned ones from the hospital. The young nurse from the other day had added me on Facebook and kept urging me to get treatment. She was like a little ball of sunshine, chattering away in my messages. "You're so handsome. I bet a lot of girls like you. Think how sad they'd be if you just gave up. I don't want the world to lose another handsome guy. If money is really the problem, I can help you set up a GoFundMe. Just please don't give up on yourself." Reading her messages, a tight, sour feeling spread through my chest. It had been a long time since any stranger had shown me that much kindness. After learning about my situation, my looks got me a lot of attention freshman year. But without fail, every single person vanished from my life the moment they found out how broke I was, as if they were terrified a few kind words would make me cling to them forever. I read her message word by word. I wanted to reply and say yes, but I couldn't find the courage, because more than death, I was afraid of pain. I'd heard chemo was agonizing, and I didn't want to suffer like that before the end. But I ended up going to the hospital anyway, because a sudden, all-consuming pain shot through my body, so intense I thought I was dying. "Are you sure you don't want to be admitted for treatment?" the doctor asked, looking up from my chart. "Yeah," I mumbled. "I don't have the money. Just give me something for the pain. Your cancer is progressing quickly. Standard painkillers probably won't do much anymore. There's an imported specialty drug that can help, but it's quite expensive. I don't know if it's an option for you." I mentally calculated my savings. The moment I saw the price on the box, my first instinct was to refuse, but the pain searing through my body forced me to agree. "I just have to pick up more delivery shifts next week." I just didn't know if my body could take it. I thought of Sarah, with her new status as an heiress. Borrowing some money from her shouldn't be a problem. With that thought, I called her, but it went to voicemail every time. Was she busy? I sent her a message on Facebook, but after waiting for a long time, I still got no reply. My grip on my phone tightened. All I could picture was that scene in the mall of Mark with his arm around her. Were they still together right now? I shook my head, trying to clear the thought. Sarah said they were just classmates, that nothing would happen. She never lied to me. But why did they look so right together in the mall that day? So much so that even I believed it. A film of tears blurred my vision. My heart felt like it had been sliced open. A warm trickle ran down my chin and dripped onto my phone screen. Another nosebleed. I didn't run into Sarah at school on Monday. We were in different departments, so besides our shared elective on Fridays, we'd almost never cross paths on the huge campus unless we made a specific effort. Especially now that she was with her family, she no longer came back to our little apartment at night, so our chances to see each other were even slimmer. That's why I looked up her schedule and went to wait for her on the athletic field after her last class of the day. A few girls, probably Sarah's classmates, walked by. I heard them whispering, "Isn't that Sarah's pathetic, broke boyfriend? What's he doing here? You never saw him coming around looking for her when she was just a normal girl." Exactly. He must be scared she's going to dump him now that she's rich. I remember that time Sarah hurt herself in gym class, and he was nowhere to be found. It was Mark who ended up taking her to the nurse's office. What do you bet he's here for this time? Maybe the rumors are true and he's here to ask for money. Their stares made my face pale. It was true. On Monday afternoons, I usually used my free time to run more deliveries. That's why I missed the call when she got hurt. And it was also true that I was here to ask her for money. I stopped at the edge of the track. Sarah noticed me and jogged over. Alex, what are you doing here? Her eyes were bright when she looked at me, and I found it hard to speak. Nothing, just came to see you. Don't you have to work today? I took the day off. Why all of a sudden? Are you not feeling well? Sarah's worried gaze fell on me. I looked down, unable to meet her eyes, trying to figure out how to ask her for the money. Oh, Alex, I'm sorry. My phone died last night, and I only saw your calls and messages this morning. I didn't want to call back and interrupt your classes. Did something happen last night? I need to borrow $20,000, I said, my voice shrinking until it was barely a whisper. What did you say? Sarah didn't hear me and leaned closer. Just as I was about to repeat myself, a familiar voice came from behind me. There you are, Sarah. I turned to see Mark, the senior who had been spending so much time with her. Sarah's face lit up. Mark, what are you doing here? Mark raised an eyebrow, his expression shifting to one of mock realization when he saw me. Oh, your little boyfriend is here too. He pulled a book from behind his back, rolled it up, and tapped her lightly on the head. You silly goose. You forgot your textbook and didn't even realize it. Had to bring it all the way over for you. Sarah rubbed her head, pouting. Ouch. I was so tired last night I completely forgot. Thanks, Mark. I'll buy you a coffee later. Mark smiled at her, his eyes full of affection, as if I wasn't even there. Suddenly, a key phrase caught my attention. You two were together last night? Yeah, with finals coming up, I had her stay over at my place after dinner so we could study a bit more. I sneered. What's your problem, Mark? You know she has a boyfriend, yet you act so familiar with her right in front of me? You're a real piece of work. Mark's face darkened, and he pointed a finger at me, about to lunge, but a sharp crack echoed before his fist could move. It was Sarah. She had slapped me. The force of it snapped my head to the side, my cheeks stinging with a fiery pain. Alex, how many times do I have to tell you? Mark is a senior who is kindly helping me study. Why do you have to be so hostile towards him? My ears were ringing, and I couldn't hear clearly, but I could tell she was defending Mark. Fury erupted in me. Sarah, I yelled, my eyes burning. Who's your boyfriend, me or him? You defend him at every turn, but have you ever once cared about the rumors people are spreading about me all over campus? My expression must have been terrifying because Sarah froze for a second. Then I saw her lips move. But, are the rumors wrong? For a second, my mind went completely blank, like I'd been struck by lightning. I heard my own voice tremble. Is that what you've always thought of me? My vision blurred, but I kept my eyes locked on her, searching her face for any sign that she was just lying to hurt me. But there was nothing. She just kept her head down. You were just about to ask me for money, weren't you? Sarah's words were like a signal flare, drawing in the crowd of onlookers who had been lingering at the edge of the field. They gathered around, their eyes wide with curiosity and excitement. Mark, standing beside her, smirked. See, Sarah? I warned you. This boyfriend of yours never looked like a good guy. He then smoothly wrapped his arm around Sarah's shoulder again. Get your damn hands off her. I snarled. Who the hell do you think you are, touching her? I pointed at Mark, then turned back to Sarah. You're just going to let him put his hands on you. Oh, right, I almost forgot. This isn't the first time. You were all over each other at the mall, weren't you? The color drained from Sarah's face. How did you know about that? Before she could finish, I cut her off with a bitter laugh. I saw it with my own eyes, of course. I can't believe I never knew you were this kind of person, lying to me about being with your family while you're out with another guy. How long were you going to hide it if I hadn't seen you? And you know what? You're right. I'm just the gold digger everyone says I am. Except a real gold digger wouldn't work himself to the bone to pay for your life. So let me correct myself. I'm not here to borrow money. I'm here to collect a debt. Over the years, I've spent tens of thousands on you. I just want $20,000 back. Call it repayment for this semester's tuition and living expenses. You can consider the rest a charitable donation. Sarah's eyes turned red with anger, her expression like she was the one being victimized, on the verge of tears. But this time I felt no pity. My chest just felt tight, and a throbbing pain started in my head. Sarah choked back a sob. Alex, I can't believe you're really this kind of person. I laughed coldly. Didn't the great Miss Hamilton already make up her mind about me? Cut the crap and give me the money. After this, we're done. You're breaking up with me? She asked, her eyes wide with disbelief. What do you think? A sharp pain lanced through my head, pressing on my nerves. I just wanted to get the money and leave. Sarah bit her lip, as if steeling herself. If this is what you want, then I'll respect your decision. Her voice was so pitiful, as if she were the victim here. Then she pulled a debit card from her pocket and threw it at me. She didn't throw it to me. She threw it on the ground in front of me, clearly wanting to humiliate me by making me pick it up. The field was full of people waiting for a show, and I gave them one. I swallowed my pride, bent down, and picked up the card. "Thank you, Miss Hamilton." A flicker of something ugly crossed Sarah's face. Maybe she expected me to have more pride, but what good is pride when you're about to lose your life? She gave me a look of utter disappointment and turned to leave in a huff, but I called out again. "Wait." She must have thought I was having second thoughts, because when she turned back, her eyes were filled with a smug satisfaction she couldn't hide. "You didn't tell me the PIN." In the next second, the look on her face shattered completely. Back at the apartment, I texted the landlord and then started packing. My own belongings were pathetically few, barely filling 2 cardboard boxes. The rest of the apartment was filled with Sarah's things. After some thought, I sent her a message telling her to come get her stuff. She replied almost instantly, "Don't bother. It's all just a pile of junk. Find somewhere to throw it out yourself." I stared at the message, frozen, pondering for a long time what she meant by junk. After a moment, a bitter laugh escaped my lips in the silent apartment. Of course, to the person she was now, how could it not be junk? Even the birthday gift I'd saved for half a month to buy her, the dress I'd worked an extra weekend to afford just because she wanted it, all of it was worthless to the new Sarah. She could get anything she wanted now without a second thought, and throwing things away meant nothing. Even the money I was desperate for, the money for my medicine, was just a tool for her to humiliate me with. I stumbled to the corner, slid down the wall, and curled up, sobbing uncontrollably. I moved back into the dorms. A few $100s a semester was a lot cheaper than several thousand a month for rent. Besides, now that Sarah and I were broken up, there was no point in living off campus anymore. When I dragged my 2 boxes into the men's dorm, every guy in the hallway stopped and stared for a few seconds. I guess guys gossip just as much as girls do. I ignored them and kept walking until I got to my old room. Only Leo was inside. I hesitated with my hand on the doorknob, feeling awkward. After all, the last time we'd properly interacted, I'd gotten into a huge fight with him over Sarah right before I moved out. After that, he switched majors, and we never really ran into each other again. The news of my breakup was all over campus by now, and I had no idea what kind of sarcastic comments he'd have waiting for me. After a brief internal struggle, I pushed the door open. Leo was sitting with his feet up on the desk like he owned the place. Seeing me, he slowly lowered his legs and gave me a shite-eating grin. Well, if it isn't Alex. What happened? Not enjoying the high life with your little heiress? Come crawling back to our humble little dump. I ignored him, found my old bunk, and started unpacking. But I'd forgotten that Leo was like a bulldog. Once he got a hold of something, he wouldn't let go until he got the answer he wanted. Sure enough, he came up behind me and playfully tugged on my collar. "What's the matter? Cat got your tongue. You two break up? She finds someone better?" As he spoke, his hand fiddling with my collar suddenly stopped. He muttered, "Man, this shirt is worn out. That's not right. You'd think with all her money now, Sarah would have at least bought you some new clothes." A guy I'd only roomed with for 1 semester could see how shabby my clothes were. But Sarah, who had lived with me for 2 years, never once thought to buy me a new shirt after she came into her money. When I still didn't respond, Leo sensed something was really wrong. He grabbed my shoulders and spun me around to face him. He hesitated, then asked, "You really broke up?" "You already know, don't you? Why are you asking?" I didn't know when my eyes had turned red, but this time the tears came flooding out, and I couldn't stop them. "I don't know, man," he said, scratching his head. "When did this happen? I was sleeping in the dorm all day yesterday. I didn't hear anything." "Hey, stop crying. Grown men don't cry like this. Just a girl. You broke up, so what? I'll introduce you to someone better." He clumsily tried to comfort me, grabbing a tissue to wipe my nose. But as he did, blood started to pour out. That made Leo panic even more. Seeing him so flustered, I couldn't help but crack a small smile. Leo frowned. "What are you smiling at? Look at the state of you. Come on, let's get that bleeding stopped." He yanked me to my feet, pulled me over to the sink, and helped me wash the blood off my face before splashing some cold water on my forehead. After I was cleaned up, Leo grilled me for the entire story of the breakup. He clicked his tongue. I knew it. I could tell she was trouble from the start. You're the only one who didn't listen." He cut himself off and glanced at me. I knew he was trying to avoid bringing up our fight again. I stood up and looked him in the eye. "Leo, I was wrong that day. I shouldn't have fought you when you were just trying to warn me. I'm sorry." My sudden apology seemed to startle him. He just sat there for a second, then jumped up and clapped me hard on the shoulder. "Dude, it's nothing. I forgot about it ages ago. From now on, we're brothers for life." He held out his fist, and I bumped it with mine. Yeah, brothers for life. At least for what was left of my life. My condition deteriorated rapidly. The pain-killing effect of the specialty drugs started to wear off, becoming less and less effective. After I had my 7th nosebleed of the week, Leo leaned over the edge of my bunk. "Alex, what the hell is going on with you? This can't just be stress. Do you want me to take you to a doctor?" "I'm fine," I gasped, curled up under my blanket, the pain making it hard to breathe. "No way, man. You're having nosebleeds like this, and you're buried under a comforter in the middle of summer." As he spoke, he reached out to pull the blanket off, but stopped short, startled by how hot I was to the touch. "You're burning up," he said, pulling me out from under the covers and pressing his hand to my forehead. "You definitely have a fever. Get changed. I'm taking you to the hospital." "No," I rasped, my voice suddenly hoarse. "Your voice is shot, and you're still trying to act tough? Alex, I know money's tight, but this is crazy. If you fry your brain with this fever, you'll end up spending even more on doctors. I'll cover it this time. You can pay me back when you graduate and get a job, okay?" "It's not a fever," I managed to squeeze out, fighting through the pain. "Alex, be honest with me. Are you sick?" I had no intention of telling him, but Leo was relentless, using every trick in the book to get it out of me. Finally, I gave in and showed him the medical report. His hand trembled as he held the paper. After a long silence, he finally spoke. Does Sarah know?" I looked down and said nothing. In the quiet of the room, he let out a short, bitter laugh. "Of course not. A stubborn idiot like you would never tell her. The breakup was part of your plan, wasn't it? You were afraid she'd be devastated if she found out you were sick, so you made yourself out to be a monster just to push her away." "No, I didn't," I mumbled, looking away. Maybe I had that thought at first, when I first got the diagnosis. But after seeing her with Mark again and again, I finally understood. Sarah probably hadn't loved me for a long time. I don't know why she stayed with me, maybe out of some sense of obligation because I'd helped her before. So I was the one who cut the cord. Now we didn't know each other anything. After Leo found out about my illness, he started treating me with kid gloves. He was constantly managing my life, forbidding me from doing any heavy lifting or eating anything spicy. On Saturday, I was getting dressed for work when Leo came back from the dining hall with a bowl of chicken and mushroom porridge for me. "Looking good today. Heading out for some air." I started eating the porridge. "No, I'm going to work." Leo's expression immediately soured. "Work? Alex, didn't you tell me you quit? Are you short on cash again?" "I told you, if you need money, just ask me. I'll spot you." "No, it's not that," I explained quickly. "I did quit, but my boss said it was too sudden and he couldn't find a replacement right away, so he asked me to cover one more day." "He can't ask you to do that. Not in your condition. Why don't you rest, and I'll cover your shift for you." I almost choked on my porridge. Looking at his serious face, I had to suppress a laugh. It was hard to imagine this spoiled rich kid riding a dinky electric scooter around town making deliveries. I finished my food and patted him on the shoulder. "Thanks, but I can handle a few deliveries. Besides, you'd probably get lost before you even made the first drop-off." "What's that supposed to mean? You looking down on me? I'll show you what I'm made of today." Leo made a move to tackle me, but I dodged and slipped out the door. "All right, I gotta go or I'll be late." The weather had been fine when I left, but now the sky had suddenly turned dark. Within 15 minutes, a torrential downpour began. I ducked into a nearby convenience store and took out my phone to check my remaining orders. I had to admit, even sick, I was still efficient. I'd already completed a dozen deliveries in one afternoon. My boss was quick with the pay, too. The money was in my account right after my shift officially ended. I waited in the store for an hour until the rain finally started to let up. I was packing up to head back when a notification popped up on my delivery app. "You have a new order request." I was about to decline it, but it was a direct request to my account. I had no choice but to accept. I turned around and went back into the store to buy what the customer wanted: a set of women's pajamas, a bath towel, and a box of condoms. I carried the items to the customer's address. When the door opened, I saw a familiar face. It was Mark. When he saw me, his eyes lit up with an excitement I couldn't quite place, mixed with something else I couldn't read. Alex, I can't believe it's really you. What do you mean? I asked, my voice cold. Nothing, he said with a shrug. I just heard you were doing deliveries, and someone gave me your account name. I thought I'd give it a try. Didn't think it would actually be you. I guess I'm helping you meet your quota, huh? If I'd known it was you, I would have never taken the order, I said, tossing the bag at him and turning to leave. But he called after me. Alex, aren't you curious what I need all this for? I froze, my mind immediately jumping to the worst possible conclusion. His next words shattered my last line of defense. That's right, it's for Sarah. She's at my place right now. Before he could finish, my fist flew, acting faster than my brain. But he was too quick, slamming the door shut just before it connected. The door opened again, just a crack this time. Mark looked at me with a twisted smile. From inside the apartment, I heard a sweet voice call out. Mark, how do you turn on the shower? I don't know how I walked away from his door. The next thing I knew, my senses returned and I was standing on a bridge, on the wrong side of the guardrail. Even the evening breeze in the sweltering summer felt hot, hitting my face in rhythm with the churning water below. The sun had set, the evening commute was over, the bridge was empty. No one noticed me standing there. I tilted my head back, my heart numb, my face a blank mask, but the tears wouldn't stop falling. I thought I had given up on Sarah completely after that day on the field, but I'd forgotten that 3 years of being together, day in and day out, doesn't just disappear. So when I heard her voice at Mark's apartment, when I imagined what that bastard was going to do to her, the pain in my chest was unbearable. Looking back, Sarah and I had been together for 2 years, and besides sharing a bed, we had never done anything more intimate. Our favorite moments were spent on weekend nights, curled up in bed together watching free movies on my laptop. She always had a habit of leaning her head on my shoulder after her first yawn and would be fast asleep by the time the credits rolled. I would always close the laptop and just watch her sleep, her face so peaceful. I used to think that was all happiness was, a quiet night with a person you love by your side. As the last sliver of sunlight vanished from the sky, I transferred all the money I had left to Leo. He had been covering all my meals and expenses for days. I couldn't leave him with my debt. The street lights on the bridge flickered on one by one. People started to appear, taking their evening strolls. I looked down at the calm surface of the river, let out one last sigh, and jumped. The wind howled in my ears. I could hear someone on the bridge shouting. Somebody jumped. Help! I hit the water. It was so cold. How strange. It was the middle of summer. Leo woke up from a nightmare with a jolt, his heart pounding in his chest as if it were about to burst. The room was dark. He called out into the blackness. Alex, you back? There was no answer. Leo turned on his phone, just intending to check the time, but 2 notifications were on the lock screen. One was a bank transfer for a very specific amount. The other was a message. Thanks for everything, Leo. Leo immediately tried to call, but it went straight to a cold, robotic voicemail. He didn't think twice. He threw on a jacket and ran out the door to find Alex. Leo contacted Alex's boss, who told him Alex had finished his shift at 4 and had already been paid. Reading the message, Leo stopped in his tracks. He looked around at the faceless crowd, realizing he had no idea where to even start looking for Alex. Clinging to hope, Leo contacted Alex's classmates, his professors, even Sarah. Nothing. It wasn't until 11 o'clock that night that he got a call from the police. They said a young man had jumped from a bridge around 6:30 that evening. He wasn't breathing when they pulled him from the water. The coroner had ruled it a suicide, and since Leo was the last person Alex had contacted, they needed him to come in and give a statement. Leo felt like he was trapped in a nightmare. It wasn't until he reached out and touched Alex's cold hand that reality crashed down on him. Alex was really dead. Even though he knew this day was coming, when it finally arrived, Leo was utterly unprepared. Tears streamed down his face as he screamed, Alex, why the hell did you have to kill yourself? Alex had no parents, no known relatives to contact. In the end, they released his body to Leo. He arranged for the cremation and the burial, and he never told Sarah. He didn't think she deserved to know, and he was right. In the days that followed, Leo started quietly looking into why Alex had suddenly taken his own life. He couldn't accept that the guy who had seemed so positive that morning would end up so hopeless. He looked into Alex's last delivery. According to his boss, Alex's shift had already ended, and that last order had been a specific request for him. Following the address from that order, Leo found the last person Alex saw before he died, Mark, and of course, Sarah, who had been taking a shower at his apartment. Just as he was about to go find them and settle the score for Alex, Sarah showed up looking for him. She had saved him the trip. Leo turned to see Sarah looking at him, a timid expression on her face. "Leo, I need to talk to you about something. It's about Alex." Her voice was so sweet. No wonder guys flocked to her after she became well-known on campus. It wasn't just about the money. But Leo wasn't buying it. "I don't know anything," he said, annoyed. He tried to walk away, but she stepped in front of him. "Leo, you're Alex's roommate, right? I've been to his classes so many times, but he's never there. I went to his apartment, but the landlord said he moved out. Took me forever to find out you were his new roommate. Can you please just tell me where he is? And why are you looking for him?" Leo cut in. She lowered her eyes, hesitating for a moment. "I want to apologize. I was too impulsive that day, and I haven't been fair to him. The truth is, he's the only one I've ever really loved." Leo sneered. "You want to know where he is? Fine, I'll tell you. He's dead." With that, Leo walked straight past her, ignoring the frozen, horrified look on her face and the soft, disbelieving sounds she was making. He had other scores to settle. As for her, as awful as she was, he didn't hit women. Besides, if she really did still love Alex, this news would be enough to make her suffer for a long, long time. Sarah started following Leo around like a ghost. She seemed possessed, waiting outside all of his classes, following him from building to building, just trying to ask him where Alex was. Finally, fed up with her constant, disheveled presence, Leo snapped. "Sarah, he's dead. Who are you putting on this lovesick show for? Look at yourself. You don't look like any heiress. It's one thing to embarrass yourself, but you're dragging me down with you." Sarah, who had been silent with her head down, finally looked up. Her eyes were swollen like walnuts from crying. "Can you take me to him, please? I just want to see him one last time." Of course, Leo refused, but he had underestimated her. That weekend, when he went to visit Alex's grave, she followed him. Leo had just finished arranging the flowers when he realized he'd forgotten a lighter. He hurried to a nearby shop to buy one. When he returned, he saw someone kneeling in front of the headstone. It was Sarah. She was wearing the same dress Alex had once described to him, the one she wore the day they first met. She was talking to the stone, her words a constant, soft murmur. Leo stood behind a tree, close enough to hear everything she said. "Alex, I was wrong. I was so wrong. I never should have said those things. I shouldn't have broken up with you. Even if you did just want my money, it would have been okay. You took care of me for so long with your own hard work. Alex, I should have listened to you. Mark is a monster. He found me caught in the rain, said I could go to his place to warm up and take a shower, but then he tried to. Alex, we never even had a real kiss, did we? I only remember that one time when I was sick and the medicine was so bitter I was about to spit it out, and you kissed me to make me swallow it. Alex, I've missed you so much since that day." She kept talking for a long time, her thoughts drifting from their relationship back to their first meeting. "Alex, I lied to you about something the day we met. I wasn't really going to jump. I just saw you standing there looking so serious and kind, so I made up a story. Please don't be mad. I never thought someone so handsome could be so gullible. I really, really miss you." Leo stood in the shade of the tree for a long time until his legs went numb. Sarah showed no signs of leaving. Finally, he gave up waiting and walked right over to her. She was surprised to see him, but she didn't move, her expression defiant. "What do you want? I'm talking to Alex. You can't make me leave." As she spoke, she gestured to a driver waiting behind her. Leo ignored her and asked a question of his own. "Sarah, do you want to know how Alex died?" "What? Did you think those condoms at Mark's place were just lying around?" Sarah's expression shifted from confusion to a slow, dawning horror. Leo smiled. "Of course not. Mark ordered them for delivery, along with the pajamas and the towel, and the delivery boy was Alex. Mark requested him specifically. I bet Alex heard more than just Mark's voice at the door that day. He probably heard yours too, Miss Hamilton. That's why he believed him." "No, that's impossible," Sarah cried, covering her ears and shaking her head. "I'm not finished, Miss Hamilton," Leo said, pulling her hands away from her ears, forcing her to listen. But that's not even the worst part. Because even if that hadn't happened, he wouldn't have lived much longer anyway. He had acute leukemia. With no money for treatment, the painkillers he had ran out that same day. If you had put a little more money on that card you threw at him, maybe he would have lasted a little longer. No, that's not true, she whispered, completely broken. Seeing her like that, Leo left, satisfied. Alex, my brother, I got revenge for you in this life. You'd better wait for me in the next one. After that day, Leo was finally free of Sarah. To be more precise, Sarah dropped out of university. So did Mark, who had already been accepted to the graduate program. Rumor was he'd been sent to prison on some trumped-up charge. Also, every weekend when Leo went to visit Alex's grave, there was always a fresh bouquet of flowers already there. He knew without a doubt that Sarah had left them. Leo would always toss her flowers into the trash like they were garbage before setting down the bouquet he had carefully chosen himself. What is this garbage? White chrysanthemums. You have no taste. Our Alex never liked these.